That's the sound of the hi everyone. Welcome to Wiggletown here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Conway the Machine record, La Maquina. This is the latest full-length LP from Buffalo rapper and Griselda Records co-founder Conway the Machine. True to Griselda form, this is the second album Conway has released this year, and I would not be surprised if he put out a third. I mean, I just reviewed his second big crossover with producer Big Ghost, If It Bleeds, It Can Be Killed. It had some great tracks on it in a grimy boom-bap style, but given how brief and raw it all was in presentation, I think many people like me saw it as a little supplemental in Conway's discography, something to just hold us over until we got a bigger project, something on the level of From King to a God, the artistic high point that Conway hit last year. Now, from the look of the feature list here, as well as the length of this project, it seemed like La Maquina had that potential, but after listening to it, I found that it did fall slightly short. Not for lack of lyrical ability, though. From the intro track, BRUISER BRODY, which is a deadly opener that just radiates threatening energy. That break a bone from a slap alone line. Also, that cold-blooded bricks today cut with too much acetone line. Even if this isn't his best project ever, Conway does continue to hone his eerie, braggadocious coke raps. There are more highlights to come too, but the first leg of this thing is a little spotty. The track 630 Tip-Off features an overbearing trap beat as well as some pretty heavy delays in the mix too, which leave Conway a little lost in the chaos. But funny enough, in one breath, while this track does make me question whether or not this type of sound is Conway's style, he then goes on to do the track KD, which is even more unapologetically a very catchy trap song with a flow that isn't too much unlike, on the chorus, that of Cardi B's Bodak Yellow and, of course, Kodak Black's No Flockin'. Now, this track doesn't feature two of the best verses I've ever heard from Conway. I think it's a little more general topically than some of the other more personal cuts here, but still, it's a very catchy track, one of his most infectious, honestly. The track Blood Roses brings that tried and true Griselda formula, chunky drums, cinematic samples that come off a bit dusty and filtered, vivid lyricism. One of my favorite bars on this record comes through on this song. Used to walk in the kitchen killing roaches, now revenge the best dish I'ma serve before my kitchen closes. Talk to him. Plus the chord changes on the instrumental, the flow switches that Conway presents across the track, it just keeps everything really engaging from front to back. The track Clarity delivers one of the most passionate verses on the entire record, with Conway spilling a lot of internal thoughts on charity, offensive lyricism, reaching his goals. I do wish there was more to it, though. It's the shortest track here, and I feel like it could use a bit more length and topical focus. Meanwhile, 200 Pies with 2 Chainz is a vibe, but it's a mixed one. The beat is very slow, very spacious, featuring some serene keys, beautiful pitched vocal samples. Conway's verse here is one of the nastiest and most determined on the entire LP, talking about building his label, checking dudes. But then 2 Chainz follows up on the back end of the track with a verse that is a combination of high, horny, and feeling a little existential. Sure, it falls a little flat, but at least it fits the tone of the beat more. Thankfully, the back end of La Maquina brings more bangers. Sister Abigail with its booming drums, booming voices, fractured piano samples. It's bringing that pure, old-school Wu-Tang energy with, of course, a chemistry between Conway and his features. Then Grace is a refreshing change of pace for this record and Conway in general. It feels like a bright, inspiring piece of pop rap from the bling era of the 2000s. The beat feels like something that would come out of Kanye's early production catalog. And when I say early, I mean like when he first began to land production credits with Jay-Z and Cameron. Now, I know this track features like the third Jay Skeese hook or verse on this entire project, but what I will say is at least with each appearance, Jay does approach the track differently given whatever style or sound it's going for. So it's not like he's just kind of in one single lane or in one single sound for the entirety of the record, even though he appears multiple times. But what truly makes this track compelling is the way Conway goes down memory lane on it lyrically. Overcoming obstacles in the music industry, overcoming his depression, overcoming being shot multiple times, overcoming Bell's palsy. Then the track Scatterbrain is just pure fireworks from start to finish, with hard-hitting features from Jid and Ludacris. Lyrically and flow-wise, Jid does come out ahead, but that's sort of to be expected. The guy leaves a trail of bodies on every song he's featured on. Conway does not take it sitting down, though, with a very upfront, in-your-face verse on the front end, and then following up Jid with a flow switch up immediately after, and then a bit of a lull before Ludacris hits and comes through with some very colorful references and sound effects. Rick James, Creed, FaceTime, also that I knew you were a bitch, I just read your obituary line. Haha. But you know what, like usual, Conway does save that best moment for last on SE Gang, which of course features his brothers in arms, Benny the Butcher and West Side Gun. They bring that unique chemistry that only Griselda Records does at this point, over an especially eerie beat filled with ghostly, glistening guitars. Sounds like I'm listening to a dreamy piece of phantom prog. Overall, I found La Maquina to be more enjoyable than not. Far more, actually. There are numerous highlights here lyrically and instrumentally. Conway not really switching it up all that much narratively here, though. Still, he does manage to drum up numerous compelling moments emotionally. But still, I get the sense, especially comparing this to From King to a God, that Conway is not digging as deep as he possibly could. So, as impressive as La Maquina is, it still doesn't feel like the next evolutionary step for Conway necessarily, and I guess I will hunker down and wait for exactly when that is bound to happen. I'm feeling a light 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Conway the Machine, forever.